So we're going to just do a short Q&A, or maybe Rob and I'll just chit-chat, whatever. Anyway, this is the Yoga Sutra NYC pre-screening crew here. A lot of people have left. It was full. Here's Rob Haggerty, Jr. I'm Zorie Barber, and we're going to see if we can set this up here. Our first time periscoping, so let's see how this is going to work. Oh, this might work. All right. A little flare there, but that's okay. Thank you very much. It's been a long path, and tonight's a very special night for me because I never have to do that again. All right. It's really been a great experience. So really just open up for any questions.
Rob, did you have a yoga practice before you did the film?
I did, yeah. I started doing yoga so I've been studying for about 20 years, Buddhism actually. So I've been with my teacher for 20 years. So he taught me all the Yoga Sutra, Hatha Yoga Pradipika, Bhagavad Gita, and then all the kind of foundational courses of Buddhism here in New York actually since 1996. So, but I hated yoga. I didn't like to practice it at all. And he went to a 3-year retreat. And my girlfriend at the time was doing a yoga teacher training in Philadelphia. And every time she'd come home, I'd just be like, wasted spiritual path, like literally. And then he came out of a 3-year retreat, and he actually came to stay at my house in Philadelphia, where I was living at the time, where she was going to grad school. And he came in, and he was like, you really should start doing yoga. And I was like, what? So I kind of started there. And it's actually a requirement. Somewhere along the way, as you kind of progress in your studies, so it's backwards. So in the United States, people just can do asana whenever they want. But like when you're studying pretty deeply, asana's not taught for probably a good 15 years until you have like all the foundational practices, understandings going on. Then generally actually it's a secret practice. So you wouldn't even actually get taught it. Somewhere along the way, a teacher would take you to the side privately and then begin to teach you the asana. So what you see, like actually in the movie where I bend down to sort of pick up the piece of paper, that's almost literally where somebody would begin. Like you'd come in, teacher would give you like one small thing, and then you'd go. So historically, at least on the kind of the Tibetan Buddhist side, it's always been actually a secret practice and stuff. So, yeah.
I have a question I would like to ask Rob because I always love his answer. And casting this movie was very tough. It took me almost a year to find the lead actress, Sarah Falugo, and Rob took almost as long. But he was kind of hiding, in plain sight. If you just want to tell, I'd love that story when you tell it.
So I attended a Buddhist class on how to find your passion in 2005 or something like that. And the idea was that you would sort of go back and and these are for people who didn't really know what their passion was in life, And so the idea was that you'd go back and sort of maybe around the ages between 16 and 20. And what is it that you really wanted to do? So I was supposed to become a monk. I was studying with a teacher. I quit everything to become a student of a Lama. And so I was like, well, if I wasn't doing the Buddhist thing. By the way, this is my brother Sean right here, who supported me for many years actually in my practice. Actually, that Jeep was his. He donated actually and stuff. And really, if it wasn't for him, a lot of the practices that I've been able to do, I wouldn't be able to do, because he really kind of became a sponsor and help for me and stuff. So. At any rate, I was like, well, I guess if I wasn't doing this Buddhism thing, I'd probably be an actor. Because we grew up like kid models in New York and stuff, and did some theater growing up and a little bit in college. But I kind of left it to become a Buddhist.
So it's going to be a short answer.
It's not going to be a short answer. So I can cut it short if you'd like.
No, you're fine. I'm just kidding.
At any rate, so I went to a meditation retreat to figure out what is it that I should do. I got the idea that maybe Buddha's be an actor, but I should just check it out. So I went to a retreat and became very clear that's what I should do. So when I came out, the idea is you find somebody who find out what you want to do, and then find somebody else who wants to do the same thing. And so Zorie at the time had just purchased the rights to this book called How Yoga Works, and he was about to turn it into a film. So I was like, hey, I heard you're doing this movie, I'll do whatever, I'll help you. And he's like, yeah, whatever. And he kind of, he's like this guy in the desert driving around like a Range Rover. And I was like, what is this guy even doing at a Buddhist school, And so he kept blowing me off, actually. He wouldn't, and finally, he wouldn't tell me what he did, nothing. It was just a real process. Very quiet about the whole thing. He just kind of giggle at me. And then finally he goes, all right, here's a script, read it. So he said, take some notes and get it back to me. So I read it actually, and I think within a week I handed it back to him with notes. And he's like, look, I'm going to tell you something. Like I've been in film for a while, and I have a lot of friends in the industry, and I've handed out maybe 20 scripts to good friends, and not one person has given it back to me yet, and you're the first person. So he ended up actually hiring me to kind of raise money actually at that point. So that's kind of how it started. Maybe you want to. That didn't work out so well.
So yeah, I gave the script to everybody I know. Hollywood mucking bucks, students. Nobody read the fucking script except for Rob. Like, dude, you're hired. So he said he thought maybe he could raise some money. I said, excellent. I said, it's no problem. I said, look, I think I'm not going to pay you anything. I'm going to give you raise some money. I'll give you a percentage, and I didn't have anything to pay him. And then we had the script. We started trying to fundraise, and then some money came in actually through another mutual friend of ours. And I was really, as I said, struggling to find an actor that could play the role. And I probably auditioned 400 or 500 people in Los Angeles. And
should I tell it? So I didn't raise any money. I thought I was getting fired. I was living in Tucson, Arizona, and we've helped. I helped him with anything we needed to do. Like we went and looked for places to film, find uniforms. Like I flew out to LA for a month. We auditioned for the other roles. We tried to
didn't raise any money.
Yeah, we tried to build a jail, but anything we needed to do, I was just there. And that was my no money.
I haven't come out to LA to help build the jail, right? I know he used to be a contractor, construction, but no problem. Help me build the jail cells.
I can't build it. Yeah.
I hired 4 different people to come consult on how to build the cells. One guy says we have to weld it out of steel. Oh, come on. That's ridiculous. Another guy says, I don't think it's really possible. Oh, come on. Finally, I get a guy, he's working down the road on porn sets. He says, that's easy. I'll draw you up a plan. Draws me up a plan on a napkin. I say, I can have Rob build it. No problem. I go to Home Depot. I get PVC pipe. I have a drill press. And I put it all on the ground for Rob. I said, Rob, look, here's the plans. Make the jail cell. He starts shaking. He says, I don't know how to use a drill. Come on.
So, but the point was, because of my little experiment, I was willing to do whatever it took in order to help somebody else. And that's sort of the foundation you can't forget here. So the second round of auditions I couldn't make for some reason. So he called me. I was in Tucson. He said, hey,
he was working the camera for the audition.
We got to have, on the first round. So we got to have dinner. And I was like, I could sense that at this point no money was raised and I was going to get fired.
I could sense it too.
So I was like, oh, I'm busy tonight. He's like, no, come have dinner. I was with my girlfriend. He's like, bring her. I was like, oh, fuck, you got to be kidding me. I was like, all right, I'll come down. And so I don't like rejection at all. So I was like, hey, can we just kind of get this over with? I just assumed he's just firing me. He's like, oh, sit down, have an appetizer. And I was just like, oh, this guy's just drawing this painful thing out. So he's like, you missed the second round of auditions. And I was like, yeah, I know I did. He's like, could have used your help out there. I was like, yeah, I know. So, and he said, the interesting thing is that they cast a girl, but they kept bringing in guys. And after 2 days, I guess they had chosen someone. And his casting director, Michael Sanford, said, Zorie, what's the deal? I'm paying, we can stay here as long as you want, but I get paid regardless. So what's the problem? And this is a story Zorie's telling me, is that he said every time that someone came up to read for the role.
Every time someone came in to read, I'm judging him against this idea I have, of the captain. And all of a sudden I realized, for Christ's sake, I've been carrying Rob Haggerty out of my head as the captain for 2 months. But I didn't realize it. And then it was, the other thing that happened is, you've all seen the film, thank God. I've got it out of my head. And we're trying to deal with the idea of concept of emptiness, which is a subtle thing. It's not simple, really. Say something, the pen doesn't exist from its own side. It takes a little bit of, it's a little deep. And I had a line producer at the time, and she had a cameraman she was having me interview. And I sat down with this one guy, great camera guy, and I started talking about the pen thing and emptiness. And he said, well, how come that? Oh, no, the line producer said to me, how come that isn't in the script? And I said, it's on page 27 at the bottom. She said, I didn't see it there. And I realized that if someone didn't have some sort of basis, they could read that script 1,000 times, and they're not going to see this idea about emptiness on the bottom of page 27. And then it became really obvious that I've got to have someone that's got to start off as, you know, sort of a redneck cop and transform into this person that has a deep understanding of this idea of ultimate reality. That's why I'm not finding this guy. And Rob could do it. In the back.
I have a question.
Yeah.
I know that this has taken longer than you wanted, and it's a very deep subject. Tell me what kept you going to completion?
Well, you know, I said I would finish it, and two, you know, I had a vision at the beginning, and I although I might never, and I still haven't achieved it perfectly, I really couldn't give up until I got close, and then really this is a big day for me, and shared it. I mean, it's one thing for me to watch it on my little monitor and say, oh, it's pretty good, and it's another thing really, and whether you like it or not, it's just important that I share it. That's really it. I mean, it's just it's.
I think you sort of answered this question by that answer, but maybe you have more to say. What is your hope for this movie? What is your intention?
I mean, gosh, I know I did a film that, in the past that you're familiar with, and when that was all said and done, there was a day when I was out. I'll never forget where I was. I was in the Hollywood Hills at a friend's house, and I was watching something, and I thought, oh my God, almost like 90% of the stuff that's being created is being created to keep people asleep. And you know, that may or may not be true, but that's how I felt at the time. And I thought, you know, I don't want to participate in that. I like to be on the other end of the spectrum and help people sort of wake up or you know, become empowered, or at least not victims. So that's sort of my underlying motivation in making making this film. As far as my hopes for it are, I'd love to have people see it. It's really important for me actually that my backers recoup their investment. You know, and that's what, you know, that's not really up to me at this point. And you know, I'd love to have people see it and enjoy it, and you know, maybe have a chance just to have a little dream with me, you know.